Let's remember together some of the greatest TV and movie stars of yesteryear with the woman who knew them. Mary Jane Popp hosted radio and TV shows for nearly 5 decades, meeting these stars and getting them to share their real-life stories. You'll meet them up close and personal as Mary Jane searches her extensive archives for the best and brightest real star talk on Pop Star Talk. And here she is, Mary Jane Popp.
Welcome to Pop Star Talk. I'm Mary Jane Popp, and I hope to entertain you with interviews of celebrities and personalities. Now, I've done these for nearly 5 decades on radio and TV. Now, some are not with us any longer. Now, others are still going strong. But what they had to say still rings true to this day with their fascinating stories and their lives. Also with me is the producer of Pop Star Talk, Kenneth Segura Knoll. Now, Ken, it's finally happening. It was you who made this show happen, Ken. And I go back a long way with Ken with so many projects. So first of all, Ken, how did you come up with the idea for Pop Star Talk?
Come on, really, Mary Jane? You and I have known each other for so long. I have heard so many interviews, and I'm always impressed with your ability to get inner ideas and thoughts of the different people. And I listen to other people interviewing people, and I say, Mary Jane is so much better. So, so I said, it's about time it's time to do a podcast, because that's the medium that's popular today. So, yeah. Mary Jane, I'm looking forward to just having fun with this, because we get to hear people that some are no longer with us, but then some are with us and have great ideas. And every day, Gene Hackman just passed away, and you never know when someone's going to pass away, and we have memories with these people.
Absolutely.
Well, you have memories with these people because you talk to them. I'm the fly on the wall. I'm the producer and I'm the fly on the wall. You've given me this opportunity to be on air, and thank you. Let's do it.
Hey, we do this together, and we've got some great ones in this first pilot episode. Let's face it. We're going to be doing 3 of the interviews that I've done. One is Tippi Hedren, and we'll talk a little bit about her. Rich Little, the man of 1,000 voices, and Cheryl Tiegs, who is probably the first professional model, the real star type model. So we get a little bit of a section from each kind of personality. And along the way, we've got a whole bunch. So should we kick it off with Tippi?
Let's do it. I can't wait.
Okay. Just to let you know, she is now, Ken, 95 years old. Alfred Hitchcock, discovered her in a commercial back in 1961. And she did 2 movies with Hitch, The Birds and Marnie. I think everybody remembers The Birds more than Marnie, because how she got attacked with the birds. And it was unbelievable. When I talked to her, I even talked to her off the air when I did the interview, and I said, are you serious? Well, they didn't have CG back then, so she actually went into a room with these birds and was attacked by these birds. She got hurt. But you know what? Back then, they had a lot of moxie. So there's some great stories, but I had to ask her, is she or did she mind being called a Hitchcock girl?
Not at all. Why?
Okay, I'm just curious, because it was kind of a complicated relationship between you and Hitch, wasn't it?
Well, no, I wasn't the first one. I wasn't the first, and I never will be. I mean, this happens. It's legion. As long as there is man and woman, there will be those problems. And and my suggestion to every woman is, don't even let it get started.
Really?
If that sort of situation starts, get out. No matter what kind of a job you have, if you love your job, whatever. If that's what it takes, just get out. Do not become involved in it.
He actually started out, for you, was kind of a benefactor, but then it was control freak, and I can see that with Hitchcock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I wasn't the first one.
But did you know about the other ones?
Not till it just started happening with me.
Wow.
And then, then people say, well, this happened and that happened and whatever. And I did get out. He said he'd ruin my career, and I said, do what you have to do.
Jeez.
And he did try. He kept me under contract, and I couldn't work. And I don't know how many movies I was asked to do after I got out of The Birds and Marnie.
So what, I mean, obviously he could hold a contract over you or, try and not let you work and that type of thing. What other kinds of things? I mean, was there any sexual harassment?
Well, no, there wasn't, because I didn't let it happen.
Good for you.
I mean, as soon as it started, I got out. And he said, "I'll ruin your career." And he did try. He did for a while.
Amazing.
Isn't it awful?
Isn't it funny?
It really makes me mad.
And the thing is, it's still going on today. They try and say it's not. It does.
Yes, it does. And you know what? Since man and woman were created, that's when it started.
You're right. You're right. But you have to be strong enough. I mean, that was pretty gutsy for you to do what you did.
Well, I had a really, really wonderful set of parents, and who taught my sister and me some very, very good morals, and we were good Lutherans. And I am so grateful to my parents for doing this for my sister and me, to bring us up with thought patterns and morals and strength.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that much of that exists these days. It's so wide open.
Either.
It's
sort of like bad.
Do whatever, and it's not good. Part of it, and I want to get your read on this. I think part of it has to do with social media.
Oh, I think you're right. I think we are. So much has been open to us that never was before, and everybody has such a lackadaisical attitude about sex and relationships and all of that, and that's sad.
Well, they don't want to work at a relationship anymore.
They don't.
And relationships, you got to work at them to make them successful.
Yes, you do.
And doggone it, where did we get off track that says, well, you don't put the toothpaste tube, you squeeze it the wrong way, and that's it, we're separated. Come on.
It's so silly, but you're right.
I mean, some of it seems that stupid.
Will do.
Yeah, it seems that stupid in so many ways. I don't know, what your marriage status is now or whatever.
I am not.
You're not?
I'm not.
Okay.
3 times and out.
Ken, I don't know about you, but man, every time I went to the park, I was watching The Birds after the movie The Birds. But it was kind of freaky,
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker, and Hitchcock is part of film history. So, watching The Birds is part of a class assignment. And Hitchcock was a unique filmmaker in that he would storyboard everything. And before they went out and shot, and he would give the storyboards to his cameraman and say, "These are the shots I want." And uniquely, he storyboarded every bird shot in that, in like the murder scene or the stabbing scene in the shower. He storyboarded every shot that he wanted, and then told his crew and to go out and get it, because how do you direct birds? I need these shots. So Tippi was a great actress. I mean, without the stars weren't the birds; she was the star.
And the other thing too is that Hitchcock, if in all the movies he always had blonde, blue-eyed women, beautiful women. He loved women, he really did. But he was a control freak. He was a control freak in anything that he did. But Tippi, would you believe she did 80 films and TV? And her real passion is animal rescue. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
It started when she did 2 films. Yeah.
I listen to your shows.
Oh, okay. Anyway, she did 2 films in Africa, and that's how it started. And then she started what they call the Roar Foundation to Save Lions. And she actually brought lions into her house. We got some great stories when we play the whole segment that I did with her. You'll hear some stories that unbelievable and what she got away with to bring these lions into her home, lion cubs.
I'm glad you brought that up, because for the listener, the episodes that we follow up with are just, since they're only one at a time, we're going to have long segments and much more in-depth interviews with Tippi and Rich Little. But this what we're doing today is a little preview, a little taste of the Pop Star Talk podcast.
And I'll tell you, it was hard to pick out little snippets because she had so much to say. And I'll give you an example. In this next segment, you know me, I want to know behind the scenes story. I want to know about them and their lives and who they are and what they feel. So I had to ask her, what makes Tippi Hedren happy?
You know, Mary Jane, the one thing about the segment that we played that I find interesting
What?
is her daughter's Melanie Griffith,
Yeah.
who married Antonio Banderas, probably the most chauvinist man. No,
I
he's
know.
he's not, but you know, he's
Yeah.
he's Spanish and all the stereotypes of what Spanish men are like and everything. It's interesting. I wonder how Tippi got along with Antonio Banderas.
Oh, I wish, I wish I could say that I could call her again, but unfortunately, it's been reported that she has the beginnings of dementia. So it would be hard to try it. I wouldn't want to press it, if you know what I mean. But let's go to that segment when I asked her what makes her happy.
I think because I'm content with my decisions. When a door opens to me, and I almost called my book "The Open Door."
I like that.
Because I've had so many doors open to me, and fortunately, the ones I have walked through have been a success. And I kind of think of other doors that were open to me, and I said, not going there. And so all of our lives we have doors open to us, and you just have. I was just very careful of what I saw at the other side, and looked through, and saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and if it was too ugly, I didn't go through it.
Good for you.
Or if it just wasn't ugly at all, that was the best kind.
And I assume that you passed that on to Melanie too.
Oh, I think so.
Good for you.
Think so.
Good for you. Well,
and Dakota.
Absolutely. But you know what? It is done by example.
I think it is. Yeah.
You can tell somebody all you want, but if you don't do it and you just say, do what I tell you to do, but don't do what I do, they're not going to listen.
That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah, a couple of people that I've talked to lately said, what is your teaching method? And I said, visual, acting, living with. And I said the best thing you can do is be a good parent, a good person, a good worker, honest,
a good human being.
Yes.
And we're getting so away from that. The social media, some of the stuff that's being said on social media, and I've had people on the air, and they say, oh, well, the social media is subject to the same rules that you are on radio and television. I said, that's bullcrap.
No, it isn't.
I said, try and
say
find
whatever
them.
You want.
Yeah. And, and unfortunately, what worries me, and I want to get your read on this, young people think that if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
Yeah, well, we've got to change that.
You betcha. You betcha. Because like you said, anybody can say anything they want. I don't know how valid it is.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious. Do you have a philosophy of life?
I guess I do, and I guess it's so big that I can't even begin to talk about it. But if you're doing something that you know isn't right, you know it, and stop it.
Good.
Just stop it.
I like that.
If you're hurting somebody or whatever, stop it. If you're doing something illegal, stop it. If you're unkind, stop it.
And you can do all of those at any stage in your life.
Yes, you can. It's never too late. It is never too late to change your ways.
Amazing. Okay, one more thing. This is a personal thing. Stand out 2 or 3 feet from you, and you're looking back at you. You're looking back at Tippi, and in maybe 25 words or less, tell me who Tippi Hedren is.
Oh, what a mean question.
I know.
Oh, that's just terrible.
But I love finding out about people. Your career, God, everybody knows you're fantastic and the career that you've had. But I'd like just to know how you view yourself.
I'm not always pleased with myself, but I try to be as thoughtful as I can, and I try to plan ahead with what I'm doing, what I'm currently working on, so that it will be a success, whatever it is. I try to stay in touch with my family as much as I possibly can, and I love them so much. My daughter, Melanie, and Dakota, and Stella, and Alexander, and my sister, and my nieces, and, I truly love and enjoy these people, and I like them.
That counts a lot. That counts a lot. There's so many people that get together, and they don't really like each other.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I think you first have to like yourself before you can really like anybody.
Bingo.
Kind of think about, who am I, and would I like me if I were just to meet me?
Hey, Ken, would you believe that there was an internet death hoax about Tippi Hedren, and that was fairly recent? They've been doing a lot of that on the internet, and she basically, even at her stage now, said, "Wait a minute, I'm still alive." Why do people do that kind of thing, Ken?
I don't know. It happened to me. I was on a train with my wife going to Los Angeles, and a friend of mine called me and said, "I just read that you died."
Oh.
On the internet. So, I don't know. It's life. It's part of life now. Social media is part of life. So you accept it and have fun with it like we are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, our next guest, I'm not going to even do an introduction because I don't need to. All you need to do is hear this, and you will definitely know who it is.
I've been doing impressions for a long, long, long time. And I think the key to staying on top is to keep your act fresh, to come up with new people all the time. People like Dr. Phil. I know that you know that I know that you know. If you knew that I knew that, then we both would know if we knew.
He is absolutely incredible. He's the voice of some 200 personalities. He's the iconic master mimic Rich Little. From U.S. presidents to actors, he's both entertaining and he can also dig deep on political figures. He's also a movie buff. He loves doing some of the most wonderful stars like Jimmy Stewart and Humphrey Bogart. From stars from yesterday to names like Sylvester Stallone, Clint Eastwood. I can go on and on and on here. Rich Little is not only a master, but a one-of-a-kind. And his latest project, Little by Little, is a self-written, humorous show about his life. And his book, called Little by Little, Celebrities I've Known and Been, actually came out in August. But would you also know he's an artist? Talk about talent. Rich, what a pleasure to have you with us on Pop-Off.
My gosh, Rich Little, is he still alive?
Yeah, and kicking, I betcha.
I'm performing at the Tropicana Hotel 5 nights a week here in Las Vegas.
Oh, my.
And people say the darndest things. Last night, somebody came in and said, "The wife and I wanted to catch you, Rich, before you died."
Oh, no. Are you serious? So,
I said, "Well, you wouldn't want to catch me after I died,
Yeah, that could be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, that could be difficult.
200 voices. It seems impossible. Don't you ever mix them up?
Well, sometimes, over the years I've made a few goofs, but I remember once I was introduced Gerald Ford in my act, and I did Spiro Agnew instead, and nobody knew the difference. Nobody picked up on it,
How did it all begin for you? How did you discover that you had this talent, this knack for picking up
imitating
voices?
teachers? Imitating
Really?
teachers at school.
Oh, I bet they loved that.
I should have got their signatures down. Would would have helped me more. But I used to answer the teacher. When the teacher would ask me a question, I would answer them in their voice. And it was usually the wrong answer, and that infuriated them. So they finally ignored me, and that was fine, too.
How much time did you spend in the principal's office?
A little bit of time, you know. I mean, I guess I was kind of a cut up back in those days, you know. But I knew this was going to be my lifetime work, because it wasn't long before the teachers were charging a 2-drink minimum and a cover charge. So I knew that I was getting into show business.
Now, you also worked as a disc jockey and a talk show host, didn't you?
Yeah, I started out as a disc jockey, in Canada, in Ottawa, you know, my hometown. And I started out on radio, and then did a lot of plays for the Little Theater when I was younger, and finally said to myself, you know, there's a couple of million actors and very few impersonators, so I decided to do impressions instead of being an actor.
How long does it take you to develop a voice?
Well, it depends. It depends on who I'm doing. You know, I mean, some people you can latch onto very quickly, like Dr. Phil and Dr. Ruth. Remember?
Oh, yes.
Ruth Westheimer.
Yeah.
That only took me about 5 minutes. You know.
You know, Dr. Ruth sounded like this. You know, sex is a lot like air. It's not important unless you don't get any.
That's perfect. I mean, I used to love seeing her on the Johnny Carson show.
Whatever happened to her?
I'm sorry?
Whatever happened to Dr. Ruth? I don't see her anymore.
I don't know if she's still
with us?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Wasn't she a munchkin in The Wizard of Oz?
I think so, too. Her feet would never reach...
Where are the lollipop boys?
Yeah.
Her feet would never reach the floor when she was on the Johnny Carson show. They had to put a little stool under her feet.
Oh, yeah. She was only about 4'5", yeah.
Yeah, just a little bitty thing. So now, you're Canadian. You were born in Canada, Ottawa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ottawa.
Now, is it you became a U.S. citizen, and is it honestly true that the judge that you were before to do this actually wanted you to take the oath as John Wayne?
That's right. He did. He asked me if I'd do that, and I thought, well, that's a little unusual, but I did it. I was sworn in as John Wayne. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, Pilgrim. You know.
Were there any voices that you did not want to do?
That I did not want to do?
Correct.
Well, you know, I think the best impressions are probably the people I admire the most. You know, that's why I think Jimmy Stewart and Ronald Reagan and, you know, people like Gregory Peck and people that I really admired, Jack Benny, George Burns, you know, those people were idols of mine when I was a kid. And if I wasn't particularly keen about somebody, then I just didn't learn to do their voice. But I've been very fortunate to have worked with a lot of the great comics and the great actors down through the years. Unfortunately, most of them are gone. But I did 24 Dean Martin roasts, and I think that was more than anybody. But that was a great time for me.
Hey, Ken, from Reagan to all the male actors, politicians, and even Dr. Ruth Westheimer, he never missed a beat. But I don't know about you, but I am curious. I wondered if he ever had a fear. Because everybody has some fear, don't you think, Ken?
Yes, I would imagine. You know, I did a show called Almost Americans. It was a TV pilot. And the lead actor was the follow-up comedian at the Tropicana, and I was in the green room, and in walks Rich Little, and it was I had a great time talking with him because he had, he has so many stories. He always has to do his impressions, but his stories about laughing, they were interesting. But Rich Little, he's really talented. He sold out every night. He was the 7:00 show at the Tropicana. And sadly, the Tropicana just got torn down. So I don't know where Rich Little is doing his act, but he's there in Vegas 5 nights a week.
Oh, yeah. He's still actually doing his one-man show. I'm not sure exactly where, but I did look up and I thought, I wonder if he's still doing it. Yeah, Rich Little Live. That's his one-man show.
Right.
So, but I had to find out if Rich Little has a fear.
Greatest fear, I'll lose my voice.
Sore throat, huh? Or laryngitis?
Sore throat.
Yeah.
When I get a cold, everybody gets a cold. Well, Truman Capote gets the sniffles, but
I love it. You're the best. You really are. So now your artwork. What else do you do? I mean, do you have any hobbies?
Well, I watch a lot of old movies, and I have a collection of about 800 or 900 movies.
No way.
And they're all digital now. I don't need them anymore. But
yeah.
I love tennis. I play tennis once in a while, but my back isn't great, so I usually play doubles.
Okay.
And I like to travel, and I was just up in Niagara Falls doing a show, and boy, that was really impressive.
No kidding. Why?
Those falls are amazing.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Wow.
So what makes Rich Little happy?
Making people laugh. And, people coming up to me and saying they forgot their troubles and they had a good time. And also, I sell my merchandise after the show, and all the money goes to the Gary Sinise Foundation for the troops.
Really?
That makes me very happy. So, those kind of things make me very, very, very glad that I'm able to do that,
Do you have a philosophy of life, just in general?
I always look for the positive, if you can,
Mm-hmm.
Don't be negative, Try and be not a downer, but an upper. I like people around me that are positive.
Good for you.
And, there's too much to drag you down these days. And, a lot of people are hurting, and that's why we hope our new president will improve things. We're hoping anyway.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of tragedy in the world. And I'm very blessed to be able to make people laugh. So that's my biggest enjoyment that I get out of life.
Unbelievable, man, to have that many 200 voices and maybe even more now, and still going strong. He is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's 87 now, and he's still going strong and remembering all that. I mean, he certainly doesn't have any dementia at 87. He keeps getting more voices.
Oh no, and when I met with him, it was just amazing his knowledge of the industry. He really needs, but I think how great would it be to do all those voices and just go around and do practical jokes?
Oh,
He is sitting in a booth in some restaurant, and you start doing one of your voices, and then everybody's head's going to turn and go, "Where is he? Where is he?"
yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, especially if he does somebody that's not here with us anymore. They're going to go, "Oh my gosh, who's this?" It is unbelievable. But, that kind of talent only comes around one time. He is an impressionist. There have been many others who have tried, and they're okay. They're good. But they'll never reach the epitome of Rich Little, don't you think?
It's going to be hard. I mean, I've seen a lot of impressionists, and they do not have the repertoire that Rich Little has. And he works very, very hard at being current. So in his act, he does a lot of current stuff.
And that's what I love. He can pick up on anything. And even Ronald Reagan was enamored with him. He had him at the White House, I don't know how many times. And he used to love to hear him do Ronald Reagan, which I would love it too. But I'm going to try and get a hold of him again and see if we can do an updated interview with him. As some of the even the newer voices. Some people may recognize the old ones, but the new ones too. Okay, so our next guest. Again, these are just snippets of some of the interviews. This gal was America's first supermodel, Ken. And she donned the Sports Illustrated magazine, I don't know, how many times. She's, I think, 77 now, but she still looks great. I'm jealous. I really am. She has reinvented herself. So I asked her, what tools does she live by, before she goes into a new project? Now, at the time of the interview that I did with her, I was 62, and I wanted to be the best I could be.
Well, first of all, I think you have to take care of yourself, and that means not only eating right and exercising. I meditate every day. That's one of the tools that I use to really keep myself. There was a time in my life I thought, I'm going to be calm no matter what, and that became my mantra. No matter how many hurricanes there were in my life, whatever, I wanted to be calm and centered and focused, and I think I finally reached that point where I feel this calmness inside for the most part. Life is not perfect, so and nor am I. So every once in a while, I waver, but I do that.
But you know what? The competition in the field that you started out and still are in, has to be incredible, and yet you never wavered.
You know what? I always wanted to be in competition in a sense with myself. When I looked in the mirror and I wasn't looking so good or feeling so good, I would do something about it. Never really felt competition with another person because that's a lose-lose situation. And now I'm doing this reality show, and we're judging outer beauty and inner beauty, and there had to be eliminations. Once a week we eliminated someone, and I invariably would say to them, please don't take this as a rejection, because I've been facing, in a sense, rejection ever since I started in this business, but I don't really look upon it as rejection. It's just I did the best I could. There was someone else who was more suited for the job. Fine, I just moved. If I always did the best that I could, that's all I asked of myself.
That's a wonderful philosophy, because too many people keep saying, well, I got to reach for that other thing, and they don't even know what that other thing is.
Right, and that's intangible. I mean, that's nothing that you can grab onto or whatever. One of the girls, I can't. I'm not going to go into the show, but anyway, we had a competition where it was a physical sportsman kind of thing, and she said, "Well, that wasn't my cup of tea," so I kind of sat on the sidelines, and I said, "Not your cup of tea. You're not competing with the fellow, the stud, who can do 100 push-ups, easily." I said, just think about bettering yourself. Focus on yourself first. And there's nothing the matter with focusing on yourself, by the way. It's not a selfish thing to do.
Do we fear failure? I mean, this country, it's like, oh my God, I can't fail. If you don't fail, you don't learn.
I don't really look at the things in my life as failures anyway. I've been through several marriages, and to be honest with you, totally honest with you, I am so happy with each one of those relationships.
Really?
And I'm so grateful, and still maintain friendships with them. And so therefore it's not a failure. It's all in how you look at it. Of course, I've tried some projects. I've tried some marriages that haven't worked, but I don't think they're failures. I just think they're attempts at trying something.
Well, not only that, but I bet any money, I put my money right where my mouth is, you learn from every one of those experiences.
Oh, absolutely. And learn, grow, become a different person, hopefully becoming a better person. What doesn't kill you makes you better. It's just, no, I mean, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I like who I am today. I wouldn't be that person if I hadn't gone through all of those experiences. So
excellent.
People are sometimes afraid to step out and do something new, to think outside the box. And I think the older we get, the more we box ourselves in, because we know what makes us happy. But I think always having a project in mind, whether it's helping people in need or starting something new in your own life, it's all, it's always scary, but it's always exhilarating.
Yeah. And, the thing is, women especially, we're the caregivers, and we always have been, probably always will be. But we look in the mirror, and the first thing that we do, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. I see another line there. Oh my God, my complexion is not as good as it was before. We got to stop doing this to ourselves, don't we? You want to look the best you can be, but I'm not going to be 20 again. I don't care how much I try.
No, and I remember the first time I saw a wrinkle thinking, and that was a while ago, and I thought, oh my goodness, that came as a surprise.
Yeah.
and then you get over it.
Yeah.
I have a line of skincare, so I think that you both get over it, but you also do something about it.
Sure.
You do the best that you can. Obviously, as we grow older, we're going to get wrinkles, and there are things, that are going to happen with our bodies, but you do something about it. And that includes, eating right and exercising, and using a skincare cream that can minimize.
Ken, I have some information that I thought you would find fascinating. I didn't know about this, but she did have some controversy when she made some comments about a full-figured gal that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And she said she felt that they shouldn't glamorize that. And she had a lot of backlash from that. But she did say that Dr. Oz told her not to have a waistline over 35 inches, and she's sticking to it. And she is. She still looks great. But I sometimes wonder if they're just, genetically born to look good for a long time, and the rest of us have to work at it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You're asking the wrong person, because my waistline's a lot bigger than 35.
Okay.
But I have to admit, I was one of the people growing up that didn't have Cheryl Tiegs poster on my wall. I didn't have it, but I she's a beautiful woman.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Still is.
But the advice she's giving is advice that successful people repeat over and over and over again. Don't be afraid to fail. And no is the answer that you want, because it gets you closer to the yes.
Well, I always looked at it this way, Ken. If you make a mistake, that's, hey, it is what it is. You make a mistake, you learn from it, you move on. That's cool. But now, don't get me wrong. You don't make the same mistake over and over again, because then you want to put the word stupid across your head. You don't do that. But if you learn from it, it's perfect.
Right. I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, Mary Jane, these 3 interviews are great examples of your talent to get the people you're interviewing to give us information that you couldn't get on television. This medium is a radio. I hope we don't lose it, because it's the one medium. It's a medium that allows you to really be free in talking. And your interviews over the air, we have, I've always been amazed at how you can just put them at ease, and they have such wonderful information to share that you can't get on a television show.
No.
So,
but I got to tell you, I asked her one more question, which I think is good advice for everyone, because she has reinvented herself over and over and over again. So I said, well, how did you reinvent yourself? How did you do it? And she gave us some good advice.
Right, exactly. And there's nothing the matter with being 62. It's only a number.
There you go.
I worked with Deepak Chopra quite a bit, and he said chronological age is one thing. That's a number. Okay, you set that aside, and you can do something about your psychological age. You can look and feel and be younger than your age.
Right. Do you have a philosophy of life at all? A philosophy that shows what Cheryl Tiegs is all about?
I think it's really positive thinking. I've said, oh gosh, I'm giving you my mantra again today, these days, is life is good. And if something goes awry, I drop a plate and it breaks or whatever, I say, oops, but life is so good. And if you just keep saying life is good, or today's my lucky day. I say that all the time. If something good happens, I think, oh, well, then today's my lucky day. So it's really just positive thinking. That's not an easy thing to do.
That's true.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah. It takes a lot of inner fortitude not to let all the negative. I always say we get enough negatives in one day to last us a lifetime. Don't let it intrude on your life.
Right. And even the news sometimes, if I'm having a little bit of a down day, I don't watch the news, because that's even more down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're so right.
Although I do keep on top of it, for sure.
Well, gosh, Ken, Pop Star Talk is just the beginning. I mean, we've had 3 interviews, just little snippets, but we've got a list of people. I call it our star list. Anson Williams from Happy Days, along with Marion Ross, who was the mom, Art Linkletter, John Wooden. I love doing an interview with John Wooden, the coach. Some of the great advice that he gave. The amazing Kreskin, we've got him. Molly Ringwald, Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie, Carol Channing, Suzanne Summers, Joan Collins. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And when I look back at some of these, all the way back to John Provost, who was on Lassie, remember was it Timmy on Lassie? Dwayne Hickman from Dobie Gillis, even Vincent Bugliosi, who actually was the prosecutor in the Charles Manson case. So it's a little bit of a variety. I've got Casper Weinberger, I've got Nancy Reagan, Rosalind Carter, when they were, Carter and Reagan were running against each other. So it's a little bit of a mix with all of them. Great celebrities, great interviews. We're picking the cream of the crop to be on Pop Star Talk. And there's many voices to come, let's put it that way. Right, don't you think, Ken?
Well, when we started gathering the content, I was overwhelmed. It was just amazing. And then, I started listening to them and over and over and over again. It was, wow, I didn't know that about this person. Wow, that's wonderful advice. So I think we got a great show, Mary Jane. I'm really excited about it, and let's do it.
Absolutely. And if you notice, I always, not on every interview, but a lot of times I ask about their philosophy, and it usually shocks them a little bit. Or step out of yourself and look back at yourself and tell me who you are. I've had so many people say, I never thought about that. Well, it's hard. If you and I did it, it's very difficult to step out, look at yourself, and in 25 words or less, tell me who you are. And also, I loved it when some of these interviews, male and female, it doesn't matter, said the ladies would say, it's like having a girl talk with a glass of wine, in the living room. Or the guys would say, over coffee, or just kind of laid back. I love to have them feel comfortable. It's not that I don't ask some difficult questions sometimes, but it's not the question, Ken, it's how you ask it. You know what I mean? You can be respectful and still ask a difficult question, but you don't, have an accusatory point at them. And they open up. I've been so joyous over the years how they open up to me and still do. And I love it. I absolutely do. So I'm looking forward to having you back again, Ken, so we can kibitz, okay?
Yes. Like the many years that we've worked together, it's always enjoyable. Sometimes I do projects that they're very hard to complete, but always working with you, Mary Jane's fun and exciting.
And many more to come.
Many more to come.
And folks, come join us for the famous and perhaps even the infamous Pop Star Talk. And they will talk back to us from the past and maybe even the present too. Pop Star Talk talks to you and to me. Be with us.
Produced by Audavita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.